There's a quiet power in the one who walks away without anger, without noise, and without seeking revenge. It's the kind of power that unsettles those who once took your presence for granted. Because silence is not weakness, it's transformation. In a world that expects you to react, to explain, and to prove your worth, choosing to remain calm is the ultimate form of emotional strength. When people lose someone who was calm, kind, loyal, and wise, they eventually realize the emptiness that follows. Not because you punished them, but because your absence becomes the loudest sound in their lives. The truth is, Stoicism teaches that revenge is not about hurting others, it's about mastering yourself. You don't win by fighting back, you win by rising above. In this journey, you'll learn 9 silent ways to make those who lost you regret their choice, not through manipulation or revenge, but through self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and the art of becoming unshakable. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel for more Stoic lessons that will strengthen your mind, sharpen your emotions, and help you become the kind of person that silence can't destroy. Now, let's begin. 1. Master your emotions. The silent transformation. The first and most powerful way to make people regret losing you is to master your emotions. When you stop reacting and start responding, the balance of power shifts completely. Emotional control is rare. It's magnetic. Most people are slaves to their impulses. They speak out of anger, act out of insecurity, and chase validation. But you rise above it. The Stoics believed that no one can truly hurt you unless you allow them to. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you embody this truth, those who lost you will see something they can't replace: peace. Your calmness becomes their chaos. Your silence becomes their mirror. They'll remember the times they tried to provoke you, but you didn't break. They'll remember the times you stayed kind when they were cruel. And when they meet others who can't offer the same composure, they'll feel the sting of regret. The greatest revenge is emotional discipline. Be the one who no longer explains, no longer argues, and no longer seeks closure. Because peace speaks louder than words ever will. 2. Elevate your life quietly. The glow they can't ignore. The second silent way is to grow in private. There's something poetic about someone who once cried over a situation, later thriving because of it. When you turn your pain into progress, those who underestimated you begin to wonder how they lost something so rare. You don't need to announce your healing. You don't need to prove your growth. Simply focus on building yourself, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually. Let your results do the talking. As Seneca once said, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. When you stop craving attention and validation, you create an aura of mystery that draws people in. The same ones who ignored you will start to notice your peace, your glow, your quiet success. They'll check your social media, hear your name through others, and realize you became the kind of person they can't reach anymore. The Stoic doesn't chase recognition. They embody excellence. Your silence, your consistency, your newfound confidence, all become living reminders of what they lost. And the best part, you didn't do it for revenge. You did it for your evolution. 3. Detach with dignity. The art of letting go without losing yourself. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. The moment you let go with grace, you become untouchable. People lose power over you when your peace no longer depends on their actions. Stoicism teaches that suffering is not caused by events themselves but by our attachment to how we think things should be when someone loses you. The greatest regret won't come from your anger. It will come from your absence. You'll know you've mastered detachment when you can look at what once broke you and feel nothing but gratitude. That's the moment you reclaim your power. Epictetus said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When you detach, you stop living in the past. You stop replaying conversations, stop wondering what you could have done differently, and stop trying to fix people who were never ready for your love. Your silence becomes strength. Your distance becomes dignity. In time, they'll sense your emotional absence like a shadow they can't catch. They'll try to reconnect, not because they love you, but because your calmness unsettles them. Detachment is the ultimate test of emotional intelligence. It's knowing you can care deeply, yet still choose yourself first. The Stoic never begs for closure. They create it within. 4. Become unreachable. The power of absence. People don't value what they have until it's gone. But true regret only comes when they realize you're never coming back. To make others feel your worth, you must become unreachable, not out of pride, but out of growth. When you elevate your energy, not everyone can follow. The Stoic understands that not everyone deserves access to your peace. You once offered your time freely, answered every call, explained every emotion, but not anymore. Now, your silence becomes your boundary. Your presence becomes a privilege, not a guarantee. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." The same applies to your life. Stop trying to prove your value. Just become the person they can't touch emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. When they try to reach you and find nothing but your absence, the realization will hit them like a cold wind. They'll miss your voice, your calm, your energy, but it will be too late. That's when regret begins to grow, not because you punished them, but because you've evolved beyond their reach. Silence is not ignoring. It's choosing peace over chaos. It's building such a strong sense of self that no one's validation can shake it. Be unreachable, not as an act of revenge, but as a declaration of inner power. 5. Turn pain into power. The Stoic alchemy: every heartbreak, every betrayal, and every disappointment carries hidden power. The Stoic understands that pain is not the enemy, it's the raw material for transformation. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this?" you shift from victim to creator. That shift is where true power begins. People who lose you often expect you to crumble. They expect you to spiral, to chase, to prove. But when you rise instead, calmly, steadily, silently, they start to regret their choice. Because your strength becomes the reminder of their weakness. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." The Stoic doesn't run from pain. They use it as fuel. Every challenge refines your character, sharpens your focus, and deepens your wisdom. What once wounded you becomes your greatest teacher. You don't have to post your growth. You don't have to announce your healing. Simply embody it. Let your actions, your new energy, and your quiet confidence speak for you. When those who hurt you see your transformation, they'll realize they didn't break you, they built you. And that truth will haunt them more than any revenge ever could. Pain turned into wisdom becomes your most silent victory. 6. Build inner peace. The calm they'll never find again. Peace is the rarest form of power. Most people chase attention, control, or revenge, but a Stoic chases peace. When you stop needing to prove, argue, or seek validation, you become free. That freedom terrifies those who once fed on your emotional reactions. Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." When you find that harmony, no chaos can touch you. Your peace becomes your armor. It protects you from manipulation, from guilt, from emotional games. You become the calm eye in the storm, the one who smiles in silence while others lose control. When they lose you, they don't just lose your presence, they lose the stability, warmth, and serenity that came with it. They'll search for it in others, but they won't find it. Because peace like yours isn't common. It's earned through pain, reflection, and discipline. The more peaceful you become, the more their regret grows. Not because you punished them, but because they'll realize that your stillness was their safe place. The Stoic doesn't chase chaos. They choose peace, knowing that true strength is not in loud victories, but in quiet minds. 7. Live with purpose. The silent revolution. The Stoic doesn't drift through life. They move with intention. Purpose gives your silence meaning, and direction gives your absence weight. When you begin to live with purpose, you stop chasing people and start chasing peace, excellence, and meaning. That's when people who once ignored your value begin to regret losing you. Most people live reactively. They wake up responding to the world. But the Stoic wakes up creating it. You no longer wait for opportunities or apologies. You build your own path. The more you invest in your goals, your craft, your personal evolution, the more magnetic your energy becomes. Seneca said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." When you walk this path of quiet purpose, your growth speaks louder than any words. You transform into someone who no longer depends on external validation because your inner mission becomes your guide. Those who lost you will see this light, and it will humble them. They'll remember the version of you who once sought their attention, and they'll realize they now seek yours. Because nothing makes a person regret losing you more than watching you find your destiny without them. Your silence becomes a statement. Your focus becomes your revenge. Purpose turns your absence into their lesson. 8. Guard your energy. The fortress of the Stoic. Not everyone deserves your presence, your empathy, or your attention. The Stoic knows that peace is sacred, and not every soul should be allowed to touch it. When you start guarding your energy, you stop bleeding emotionally for those who were never grateful for your kindness. There's something magnetic about someone who no longer reacts, no longer explains, no longer gives pieces of themselves away carelessly. People who once fed off your emotional energy will begin to feel your distance, and they'll regret losing the version of you that gave freely. Marcus Aurelius taught that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Guarding your energy isn't coldness, it's wisdom. It's choosing to invest your time and emotions where they are valued, not drained. You'll notice a shift. Your silence will start to disturb the same people who used to ignore your voice. They'll sense your boundaries, your control, your calm confidence, and they'll miss the access they once had. But that access is gone, replaced by strength. The Stoic doesn't isolate, they protect. They build inner fortresses made of self-respect and wisdom. And once you do, the people who lost you will realize they can't enter that peace anymore. That's when true regret begins. 9. Become so content alone that no one can use loneliness against you. The final and most profound way to make people regret losing you is to master solitude. The Stoic doesn't fear being alone. They thrive in it because solitude is not emptiness, it's strength. It's the moment you stop needing others to complete you and realize you were always whole. When you become content in your own company, no one can manipulate you with silence, absence, or rejection ever again. You stop chasing love and start attracting peace. People who once thought you couldn't survive without them will watch you flourish without their presence, and that realization will cut deeper than any argument ever could. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And what's beyond your control? Other people's choices, opinions, and actions. When you detach from that, you step into freedom. You no longer need attention to feel seen. You no longer need validation to feel worthy. You no longer need company to feel complete. Your stillness becomes your sanctuary. Your silence becomes your crown. And when they look at you, at peace, purposeful, grounded, they'll remember how they treated you when they had access to that energy. That's when the regret blooms, quietly, deeply, and permanently. Because nothing haunts a person more than losing someone who found happiness without them. Final message. The Stoic comeback. Remember this. The Stoic doesn't seek revenge. They seek mastery. You don't make people regret losing you by fighting for their attention. You do it by becoming someone they can't forget. Your silence is not surrender, it's strategy. Your detachment is not bitterness, it's evolution. Every time you choose peace over reaction, wisdom over impulse, purpose over approval, you rise higher. When you evolve quietly, your growth becomes your justice. You become the proof that not all losses are bad, and not all goodbyes are painful. Some are necessary. Some are divine. So keep walking your path with calm strength. Keep your circle small, your mind clear, your emotions balanced. And when regret finally finds those who lost you, you'll be too far ahead to even notice. If this message resonates with you, don't just listen, live it, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for more powerful Stoic lessons on emotional intelligence, strength, and self-mastery. Because every week, we bring you deeper insights on how to stay calm in chaos, rise in silence, and build a life so peaceful that even your absence speaks volumes. Your comeback begins in silence. Your power begins in peace. And your legacy begins the moment you stop reacting and start becoming.